You're no Jedi. You lied. And now, the real good guys are coming.
Alright, what is going on guys? It's Tazz here, and welcome back to the channel. The latest Disney Plus Star Wars project, Skeleton Crew, has come to an end after 8 incredible episodes. Coming off the heels of the less than stellar response from The Acolyte, despite many fans, including myself, that actually really enjoyed the series, Skeleton Crew had a tough task to conquer. Win back the hearts and minds of Star Wars fans everywhere with a different take on the universe we've all come to know and love. This time leaning heavily into the nostalgia of the 80s and 90s, coming-of-age stories, and fun childlike adventures and mysteries popularized by IPs such as The Goonies, Sandlot, Scooby-Doo, and more. Star Wars Skeleton Crew is set post-Return of the Jedi in the New Republic era, synchronizing the timeline with the other Mandoverse Disney Plus series. Quickly, we are introduced to our core 4 children from the planet of At-Atin, a society that draws a lot of similarities to a place you might find on Earth. We have a suburban neighborhood, children go to school, and adults running the planet as part of, quote, the great work. Wim, Neil, Fern, and KB are our point of view characters, just another cog in the machine that they were born into. Go to school, pass assessment, and determine the path for the rest of your life and how you can contribute to this industrial society. Across the galaxy, we are also introduced to the pirate crew led by Captain Silvo, who are always on the hunt for the next big score. Think about it like Star Wars' version of Pirates of the Caribbean spliced with the Goonies. 2 vastly different concepts, but when put into practice, it was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one, with how much I came to adore this series, its characters, and the mystery presented. Speaking of the characters, they are the real draw and standouts of this series. Everyone starts out as a specific archetype. Wim, the kid that knows adventure is out there and wants more from his life. Neil, the comedic and somewhat cowardly best friend. Fern, the too cool for school rebellious bad girl. And KB, the smart, witty, and techie sidekick. However, by the end, all of these vastly different characters really come into their own and are able to not only work together as a crew, but come to love and care for each other as a family. So before I jump into spoilers, I highly recommend you guys go ahead and watch this series all the way through. It's really just a fun time that you don't have to take too seriously. It really transports you back to a time when you were an innocent and naive child who had no idea what the vast outside world can offer, good, bad, and everything in between. The message of Skeleton Crew is one as old as the galaxy it is contained within. As much as you may want to protect the innocence of your children, you cannot shield them from the outside world forever. The planet of At-Atin was completely cut off and shielded from the wider galaxy to preserve its way of life. The only way for this society to survive was through strict obedience to the supervisor, and our main crew started to see the flaws in that logic. After finding the legendary Onyx Cinder and robot first mate SM-33, Wim, Neil, Fern, and KB were off on an adventure throughout the galaxy, learning what truly lies beyond the barrier. Out there, they meet Jod Nanawood, who at first presents himself as just a heroic Jedi who will help the children find their way home. However, his true intentions are eventually revealed. He's a pirate known by his crew as Captain Silvo, and he's after the lost treasure of At-Atin. Along the intergalactic adventure, we learn that the planet of At-Atin is actually an old Republic mint, and the quote great work is printing Republic credits. The Onyx Cinder that the kids found actually once belonged to an infamous pirate known as Tak Renod. Using his treasure trove on a distant planet, our crew was able to pinpoint the exact coordinates of their home, but not before being betrayed by Jod, who they all came to think of as their friend. He takes control of a High Republic-looking lightsaber from Ranad's treasures, challenges Fern for control of the Onyx Cinder, and leaves the kids to fend for themselves as he is on a quest to claim the treasure of At-Atin in his name. It wasn't all smooth sailing for Jod, however, as he had a run-in with his old crew, which resulted in another mutiny, this time taking back control from Brutus in the most brutal way possible. Leading into the finale, the kids along with SM-33 catch up to Jod and his crew as they are the last line of defense between their home and a full-scale pirate invasion. Jod decapitates 33 with his lightsaber and threatens the kids to go along with his plan or suffer the consequences. So now with command over the Cinder, as it is the only ship that can break through the barrier, being a Republic cruiser, Jod set course for the Mint of At-Atin. When he arrives, Jod convinces the parents and security droids that he is in fact a Republic emissary, therefore a routine pickup of credits. Tensions rise as we get closer and closer to the vaults, Jod closer to his treasure, and the kids now reunited with their parents, on the verge of threatening life as they know it on At-Atin. With access to his treasure, Jod faces the kids and their parents, igniting his lightsaber in a threatening manner only Anakin Skywalker could approve of. So here we are, Episode 8, the Skeleton Crew Season 1 finale titled The Real Good Guys, and we pick up immediately where the penultimate episode left off. Jod kind of fakes us out with his lightsaber ignition as he plays it off as more of a show of power as the Republic emissary, rather than the threat the kids see it as. The rogue pirate requests an audience with the supervisor in order to contact his ship beyond the barrier, while ordering the security droids to confine the kids and their parents to their homes under strict supervision. Jod also takes the opportunity to bring Fern and her mother along with him, as not only a show of power but a strategic point of leverage over the rest of the kids. Back at home, Wim and his dad have dinner and discuss the little adventure he went on. While his father understands being curious about what is out there, he reinforces the importance of following the strict guidelines laid out by their society. Wim also struggles with telling his dad the truth about Jod, but under the watchful eye of the droids, there's not much he can say. He even tries to reach out to Neil, but it's no use as the droids immediately catch on to the outside communication and shut it down. Meanwhile, Jod, Fern, and her mother go to meet the the supervisor, finally pulling back the curtain and revealing who or what has been in charge this whole time. Surprise, surprise, the supervisor is nothing more than a big droid that has been overseeing the great work since before the fall of the Republic. Jod continues to play into the whole Jedi emissary facade until the supervisor sees right through the deception. The last transmission received was that the Jedi were traitors to the Republic, meaning At-Atin has been cut off from the rest of the galaxy since Order 66. After he is exposed, Jod decides to destroy the supervisor and use his hostages to his advantage in an attempt to not only contact his ship, but deactivate the security protocol on the barrier. With the supervisor out of commission, the power to the entire planet goes off, simultaneously deactivating all of the security droids as well. And now with their opening, Jod gives his crew the word to start a full-scale invasion of At-Atin, pillage the town, and take the credits in true pirate fashion. As the plunder begins, Wim catches on to what is going on and immediately informs his dad that Jod is actually the bad guy and he needs to reunite with Neil and KB to save Fern and put a stop to the mad Captain Silvo. The kids reunite on speeder bikes as they rush to the supervisor's tower, followed by Wim's dad joining in at first to try to stop them, however eventually realizing he needs to help. I loved the whole sequence speeding through the town, all while being shot at by pirates, one of the most well-shot sequences from throughout the entire series. And we even got a slight E.T. bike silhouette in the moon Easter egg as the crew jumped over the massive crater. As the chase intensifies, Neil gets knocked off his speeder and tells everyone to go on without him, while he tries to activate an old anti-air cannon. When Wim, his dad, and KB arrive at the ship, they know what must be done. In order to get a message out to the New Republic, they must exit the barrier. KB stays with the ship while Wim and his dad head for the supervisor's tower to try to restore power and release the ship from its landing restraints. Checking in on Fern and her mother as they formulate an exit strategy, all the while Jod is giving his crew further orders, ensuring not to injure too many of the citizens as he needs them to continue making credits for him. Fern's mother brings up one of the biggest themes of the series in relation to the barrier. It was meant to protect the kids from the dangers of the galaxy, but something Fern has learned from her journey was that everywhere they went, even in the worst places, there were still good people out there willing to do what was right. When Wim makes his way up to the tower, he goes into deception mode, trying to throw Jod's tricks right back in his face, telling him that they already called the X-Wings and that the real good guys will stop him. Of course, this is a distraction, allowing Wim's dad to flip the power switch, giving KB the assist she needed to take off and call for reinforcements. Neil provides cover fire as KB flies off in the Onyx Cinder, but sadly that is short-lived as the pirates destroy Neil's AA cannon. With a headless SM-33 at the helm, KB breaks past the barrier and is able to send out a distress call to Kim, the owl lady met earlier this season, as she calls in the best pirate busters in the galaxy. This victory is short-lived, however, as KB has been hit and crash lands back on At-Atin's surface as we see Wim and Fern anxiously look out at the crash. This was the big emotional push needed by Fern and Wim to truly put a stop to Jod's evil schemes. A small skirmish ensues, followed by Wim calling out Jod, saying that he's no Jedi. This gives the chance for a bit of a tragic backstory for the Mad Captain. Jod saw his master hunted down and killed, presumably by the clones post-Order 66. That was the catalyst for his turn to the life of piracy. While some Jedi might have taken the death of their master and used it as fuel to fight the good fight, Jod allowed the fear, anger, and hate to take over, and we all know what that leads to. I did really like how even after all of the chaos he has caused, they did still try to humanize Jod. He wanted to minimize casualties and injuries, he just wanted his credits and he would be on his way. Obviously, Jod's no hero, but he's not a Sith or anything close to that either. He's a Jedi who has lost his way, and there still might be a shred of good left in there somewhere. While Jod was distracted, Wim's dad was able to land the staggering blow, causing the lightsaber to fall into Wim's hands once again. Jod tries to pull the saber back towards him, and Fern jumps in to help Wim hold his ground. In the final moments, Fern's mother decides to join the fight and help Wim's dad with the push he needed to fully deactivate the barrier, allowing the New Republic fighters to break through. With the barrier down, Wim finally gets his big hero moment as he stands tall, igniting the blade, standing up against the evil in the galaxy. Enter the Rangers of the New Republic. They triumphantly fly in and make short work of the pirates and their ships. As our heroes escape the supervisor's tower, Wim calls out to Jod one last time, proving that even after all they've been through, he chooses to see the good in people. Jod gives a final look back at the kids, one of defeat and acceptance. His plan failed, and as any good captain would, he must stay and go down with the ship. I absolutely loved the shot of Jod watching out the window as his fleet of pirates is destroyed by the New Republic fighters. Such beautiful imagery. There's still one thing left to do, however, as the kids run to check on KB, who crash-landed back in the school building. The cinder opens up, pouring out credits, and a knocked-out KB. As she comes to, she asks if they won, giving us such a sweet and heartfelt reunion and a group hug of our skeleton crew. Great to see SM-33, while headless, is still standing and cracking jokes as well. With the day saved and the adventure completed, Wim takes one last look at the ship that helped him live out his intergalactic Jedi fantasies with his friends. And hey, on the bright side, now that the school is destroyed, he won't have to take that stupid test. The show closes out with the music swelling up as Wim looks out into the stars, seeing the X-Wings fly by, knowing that adventure really is out there after experiencing it firsthand with his best friends. Fade to black and roll credits, giving us a very cool little artistic Jedi adventure, closing out with the Skeleton Crew logo on a datapad as we zoom out to see a couple of action figures next to it on the table. Overall, guys, Skeleton Crew turned out to be exactly what it was meant to be. A fun, childlike adventure filled with action, heart, humor, and most of all, a beautiful message for all Star Wars fans. I know the current state of the franchise is not necessarily the greatest. Tons of fans are skeptical, to say the least, about its future. However, with Skeleton Crew, I think it's important to take a real hard look at the message it was trying to convey. The galaxy is filled with people, both good and bad, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should shelter yourself from it. You have to go out into the world and experience it for yourself, make mistakes and learn from them, because they will make you stronger in the future. I think the same rule applies here in the context of Star Wars. You might be a fan of the originals, the prequels, Legends, the Clone Wars and Rebels era, or the new Disney Star Wars era. Whether you are a fan of just one or all aspects of Star Wars, you are a fan of the franchise and shouldn't look down upon anyone with a different opinion than you. The beauty of Star Wars is that the franchise is so vast and has so many different facets to enjoy. And I think Skeleton Crew did an incredible job at trying to appeal to all areas of this divided fanbase, really leaning into its 80s, 90s action-adventure genre they so gracefully presented. While yes, the target audience would most certainly be kids aged around the same as the stars of the show, but I think anyone of any age can see themselves in these characters and view it from the lens of, yeah, that's exactly how I acted at their age. Theories for the future as we are in the New Republic era, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw At-Atin in either the Mando and Grogu movie or even in Heir to the Empire. Potentially we see Jod locked up in some New Republic prison or even with a bounty on his head. The entire society of At-Atin has been flipped on its head, so it will be interesting to see how they function as a true part of the larger galaxy. And it might just be me, but was that Leia's ship the Tantive 4 flying off with the fighters at the end, or was it just a ship of that same class? Cool Easter egg nonetheless. Show creator John Watts has already said that ideas for a second season have been thrown around and that they will be taking into account the time jump as this show was filmed a few years back at this point, and those kids have certainly aged up quite a bit since then. Whatever ends up happening, I cannot wait to see how our characters from the Skeleton Crew will continue to contribute to the greater Star Wars galaxy going forward. But with that said, guys, I want to know your thoughts on everything at Skeleton Crew down there in the comments below. Did you enjoy Skeleton Crew? Who was your favorite character from throughout the series? And would you like to see this story continue, whether it be in a second season or as a part of another Star Wars project altogether? Just let me know your thoughts on all of this down there in the comments below. But until next time, guys, it's been Tazz. And I will see you guys in the next video.